Welcome, my love, to a new podcast episode. In this one, I want to talk about how the ones not chosen are the chosen ones. The experience of being the black sheep of your family is one where you are not chosen. You have to deal with the pain, the grief, and the discomfort that comes with not being chosen. Your low self-worth ends here. Welcome to Becoming Enough, a podcast dedicated to breaking down your experience as a black sheep and understanding how that impacts your self-worth. Your experience as a black sheep and cycle breaker is unique, and it's time we finally started to talk about it. So let's get into what that means. What does it mean to not be chosen? What does it mean to not feel chosen by your caregivers, by the people that brought you into this world, or by the people that said that they would be able to take care of you? An example that I have is this bathroom in my childhood home. A little bit after I first moved in, being an only child, that bathroom was attached to my bedroom and it was supposed to be my bathroom. And I was so excited because I watched Lizzie McGuire and I watched all these like 2000s kids shows, and it felt like they always had their own bathroom, or it felt like it was a version of me leveling up. And the move was already frustrating and painful because I felt like I hadn't been told when the house was purchased. I was only told after. And so I knew we were moving, but this also included me moving away from a school where I'd finally been able to make friends, which took a long time, especially in, kind of a racist town in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And I had finally kind of made a place for myself and I was feeling confident, and then I had to move and start over. But on top of that, not being told until after where I was going to be, where my life was going to exist, was painful. But then I was excited, right? I was like, well, maybe I get something new out of it, and I get this new experience, and maybe I get to feel more grown up, right? Being 9 or 10 years old, I was excited about that. And a little bit after we moved in, the shower broke, and it wasn't a huge issue. It was something about, I actually still don't know exactly what it was, but something happened where the shower head didn't quite work. And it started out temporary, but 8, 9, 10 years later, it still hadn't been fixed. And the entire time living in this house, I was using the guest bathroom to shower in. And I'd completely forgotten about, not that that happened, but I didn't realize that there was any trauma there. And I was just trying to go to sleep earlier this week, and I had this kind of thought where it almost like shot me up in bed, right? And I was like, oh my God, like if that was me and that was my kid, I would have made sure it was fixed. I would have learned how to fix it myself. I would have done something to make sure they were more comfortable. And that, in a way, and I'm not even saying this as deep as the feeling was, because I think I'm shielding myself a little bit from the vulnerability there, and maybe shielding other people too. But this example is just a microcosm of what it feels like to not be prioritized, to not be seen as important, or important enough that someone else would be okay being inconvenienced. And kind of on a tangent from that, the idea of community has become so important to me. And I realized that a lot of what I was seeking earlier in my life was community, was like true connection. And there's been a conversation online recently about community and how that means sometimes being inconvenienced. Sometimes you have to drive a friend to the airport, or sometimes a friend is sick and you have to cook a meal for them, or you don't have to, but it's a supportive way of you showing up. It's a way of you building community, but it could be an inconvenience. And all of these thoughts kind of melded together, and I started to realize that what I've been seeking is what I was previously lacking, and that's why it's so important to me. What was lacking is just a feeling of, like I said, being important, being seen as important, being seen as valuable, being seen as someone who has more than just the basic needs. And for a lot of you, you may have heard your parents say something like, I clothed you and I fed you. What more could I have done? Like, what more did you want from me? I did everything a good parent does. And those are the things that are legally required of them to be parents. Like, those are very basic things. To not be seen as having anything more than the bare minimum sets us up as black sheep to expect that from others in the future, and to also lay that as the groundwork for what we expect from ourselves. I was just having a conversation with a friend today about how I can always trust the universe to give me what I need. And even that has taken a lot of work. But at this point where I am in my life journey and my spiritual journey, and by the way, there's a thunderstorm rolling in, so I don't know if any of that is going to be picked up on the mic, but if it is, I'm sorry about that. So back to what I was saying, I can trust the universe to bring me what I need. If I'm in a time of complete distress, I also have no other options. If I've exhausted everything that I can do in my control, I've been through that enough that I know that the universe will always come through for me. But in this conversation that I was having with my friend, I was sharing, like, it's hard for me though to expect or to trust that the universe is going to show up when it comes to my wants, when it's something other than just a roof over my head and food in my mouth. And even that is an incredible privilege. Like, that is huge, and it's not something to be taken for granted because those are our bare necessities, right? But it's important as well to be able to be expansive. And for a lot of us who feel like we are walking in a bigger purpose, or who feel like we want to contribute to the world in some way, having our bare needs met allows us to step up more, to step into those roles more. And so I know a part of my purpose, I can see how my ability to walk in my purpose or to do this work can be really affected when my needs aren't met. And that ends up taking me away from this work, right? So we learn from childhood that we only deserve what we need. And we lose the capacity to be able to hold the things that we want. And when I say the things that we want, it's not like I'm talking about, a Lamborghini and like a mega mansion. I'm just talking about these things that we see that are more than just our survival. The pain of not being chosen essentially aligns you to lack. It aligns you with scarcity. Your needs or your wants or maybe even your desires are seen, you perceive them to be unimportant. And when you perceive things like that to be unimportant, you sabotage your way out of getting them. You move yourself out of alignment with those things, and you sidestep into, well, what am I going to do that's going to keep me hanging on by a thread? I'm seeing a vision of a spider, which is also interesting because spider medicine has come up for me in the last couple of days. And I was also having a conversation with the same friend about spider and spider medicine and the idea of what that means when it comes to communication and dream weaving. But I'm seeing like a spider who has woven its web, and there's the last, bit of silk or string or whatever the proper name is for it. And they're just hanging on, right? It's like you build your dream, or you have this idea of what it is that you want to create, but you're just outside of it. You're not allowing yourself to be in it because you constantly see that as something outside of yourself. But if you are a chosen one, your purpose is, I don't want to say your purpose is who you are, but you have a purpose. You have something that you are here to do, that you are here to say. And even if that is just breaking the cycles in your family, that is massive work. That is a purpose. That is something that your lineage asked for through the creation of you. The experience that I had with that bathroom and the dots that I just connected this week were telling me that I felt unseen, and my desires felt unseen, and my comfort felt unseen. And because those things were not prioritized for me by example, I consistently kept myself stuck to a reality, to a life where I was also undervalued, where I also was not seen. The kinds of jobs that I've had, or the kinds of friends that I used to attract, were all people and opportunities that did not allow me to step into my worth. They did not allow me to showcase myself and to shine, right? And instead of stepping into the dream, I continued to hang on by a thread. I continued to weave my dreams in my dream world and see my purpose and see all these visions that I would get of myself doing these things that I've seen since I was a kid. I had that in my mind and in my mind's eye, but my reality was so different because I was sidestepping the dream. And in these places that were undervaluing me, in these places where I'd already learned the lesson that I was not going to be the change maker. I was not going to step into my purpose in these arenas, but I continued to try to prove myself. And that's the self-sabotage that I'm talking about. I tried to prove myself in arenas that I knew did not value me and that I knew were not aligned with my gifts. But I kept that cycle going because I needed to feel seen. I needed to feel important. I needed to make a name for myself because I could not trust the name that I already had. And another way that this wound relates to self-sabotage is the feeling that you have to do it all yourself. You stop trusting other people because other people have shown you that you can't trust them to go above and beyond for yourself. And a lot of Black sheep are so dedicated to building the life of your dreams. You have that dream woven. You know that you want something big for yourself, even if all you know that you want is financial stability. Like, Black sheep are some of the most committed and determined people I have ever met. 37 on the timer as well, and I always see that number. But you are so determined when it comes to making something happen because you know no one else is going to do it for you. But ironically, we've talked about the wound of hyperindependence a lot on this podcast. And if you find yourself in that boat and you haven't listened to some of those episodes, I highly suggest going back and listening to those. They all have hyperindependence in the title, but that wound of hyperindependence makes you burden yourself with all of your needs, all of your desires, all of your wants, without letting anyone else in to help you. And as I was talking about at the start of this episode, community is something that we are massively seeking as a collective. And for those of you who have found community or found your chosen family, like, I am so happy for you. And that is also going to continue to expand. I really am getting a strong message that your chosen family and your communities are going to continue to expand. Again, this web of connection is deepening. But when you don't trust anyone else to have the best in mind for you, you begin to take on everything and you look at everyone else as the enemy. You look at everyone else as someone that is outside of your dream. You are outside of your dream and you see everyone else around you as outside of it too, or as threats to what it is that you want to build, as threats to your dream. And so instead of opening up your heart space, and this is really connected to the second tarot reading that I did on my YouTube channel. There's only 4 videos up right now, maybe 5 by the time you see this. So you'll be able to find it. It's the second one, and it talks a lot about leaving the mental space behind and moving more into the heart space. And if you find yourself kind of connecting to that message or seeing that message pop up, I recommend going and listening to that full reading because it was a really powerful one. But yeah, you focus so much on thinking your way through everything, and you have to see how everything ends, which also stops you from making progress. But seeing other people as a threat ensures that you are going to continue building your dream on your own. And also, what that really does is it leads to burnout. I'm not saying you have to go and find a business partner, but everyone and anyone's dreams that they have relate to other people. Even if your dream is to go homesteading and to live far away from people, there is still going to be connection that you need through establishing those things, through acquiring your animals, through creating a space that other people can visit, through making sure that you have the funds or the resources to keep you sustained means that you are going to have people around you. If you see yourself as a musician or on a big stage, you need fans, right? You need connections, you need producers, you need connections to venues, right? You need people, and we all need people. And it's so easy for so many of us to want to consistently stay in the hyper independent bubble, but it's not healthy for us. And I'm actually starting to pull a couple of cards just because I felt really called to. And what I got, which is why I was talking about hyper independence, was the Seven of Swords. But I also just got I got the Five of Wands, and I thought it was just that card. As I picked it up, I saw the Ace of Wands under it, so we'll talk about that in a second. But also the Three of Swords came up. And again, all these cards are about pain and heartbreak and fighting and chaos. The antidote to not being chosen is choosing yourself. Every black sheep needs to wholeheartedly choose themselves, and not just choose themselves, but choose to believe in trust. Choose to believe that other people will support you. Believe that the universe wants you to manifest your goals as much as you do, because your goals are connected to your purpose. You are here to enliven those goals. You are here to bring about that purpose, that legacy that you have. And I just got the Tower card and the Nine of Swords. You have to alchemize the pain that you have, and choosing yourself, knowing that you not being chosen gives you the opportunity to choose yourself and to see yourself as a chosen one, is actually such powerful alchemy. And I'm hearing the soil is ripe. I'm hearing the soil is fertile. And with the Ace of Wands, and the ace kind of can represent a seed. And this idea that, like, collectively we are in a time of preparing to birth. Something that I was actually thinking about recently was that as people start to divest from the matrix, from capitalism, as people start to become more resourceful, more sustainable, we need to have people who know how to do those things that can teach others. And a lot of you are likely activists, and a lot of you maybe are going to protests or being out there and fighting. And for some of you, maybe you're not able to physically, maybe you're not feeling aligned or called, but you know you need to do something. Like you're not letting yourself off the hook. You're just looking for, what is it that I'm supposed to do? How can I be of help? How can I be of service? And while there are people that need to fight, and you can do both, this isn't an either or situation, but we also have people that need to build. If no one knew how to farm sustainably or grow food, then people who are divesting from grocery stores and wanting to be more resourceful and grow their own food wouldn't have any teachers. And so I'm really encouraging you that even if you're sitting here and feeling like the world is falling apart, which empires are falling apart, and I use that word intentionally. Empires are falling apart, but community is always here. We are always here. And so if you're like, what is my role? What is my purpose? A lot of you are here to learn and to teach skills. And that felt really powerfully, like that was really coming through. But whatever it is that your purpose is, like I said, the soil is fertile. You are ready to start to open up that that purpose, that plan, that message that you have for the world. And I know you have something. If you don't value it, you still have it, and you need to value it because you are chosen. You have a purpose, and you can choose to have a purpose. You can decide, I'm going to make meaning out of this, right? I know a lot of people have this philosophical discussion around like, does everything happen for a reason? And if everything happens for a reason, then what is the purpose of this needless suffering? And my take on, it's not my take on needless suffering, because again, a lot of those things are very intended by the empires that we speak of. But my take on everything happens for a reason is that you can make everything happen for a reason. You can make a tragedy turn into something beautiful through your intentions, your powers, your connection. And this is all about returning to your personal power. If no one else chooses you, if no one else sees your value, the light that you bring, you determine that. It's not about making them see you, but you make that light. You bring that light into the situations that you have in front of you. You bring that light, and that means opening up that light. If you have, so many black sheep have such a strong presence, a powerful presence is what I'm hearing. You have a powerful presence, but the experience of being a black sheep, the way that you have been judged and held back and told that you don't matter or taught that you don't matter through actions, that not just makes you dim your light, but it makes you cover it up. I recently talked about, I think this was in one of my tarot readings, like you were looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, but you are the light. You are the light. And my name actually means light. Some of you know that, some of you might not. And so I just thought that was interesting to share. But you have had the light all along. And it's not so much about going out and finding the light. It is about uncovering the light that you have. It is about learning how to shed all the things that taught you to cover it up. You are the light, but you also are the tunnel. Oh my God, you are the light, but you also are the tunnel. Wow. The universe, society, your family has taught you to cover that light. They were so afraid of the power that you brought, the light that you brought, the ability that you had to not shy away from the things that everyone wanted to sweep under the rug. They were so afraid of that. They saw it before you did. They saw your power before you did, and they said, let's try and sweep this under the rug too. And you said, no, not today and not ever. And that's the energy I want you to connect to. That power, that sheer grit, that purpose, that dedication. Like I said, black sheep are the most dedicated, most loyal, most hardworking people I have ever met. Because you know what it's like to dig through the darkness. You know what that's like. And if you're here, you've probably already found your light, but this is still a reminder of how much it needs to shine. Blind people. I want you to blind people with your light. You are the light. You are the mirror to other people. And that's why people react to you so differently. Some people love you and are immediately attracted to you. I'm hearing moths to a flame. And some people dislike you immediately. And that is because you are a mirror. You are representing their own projections of themselves. And the more that you stop hiding and the more that you stop living like that spider outside of the dream web that you have created, the more that you can align yourself with the people that do see your light. If you do not shine your light, the moths will not come to the flame because there is no flame. There is so much medicine in this. I am loving this message. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that's coming through. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back and I'll share any final messages I have with you. So I was having a really hard day yesterday, and this whole weekend I've been feeling like the claws of depression trying to come back, and I've been feeling so like like I live in a gray box, and not just like literally working in a gray box, and having just a lack of sunlight around me, feeling very trapped is how I've been feeling. And it relates to very kind of physical things in my life. And I've done so much over the last few years that have taught me lessons about how to thrive, how I can take care of myself, how I can take better care of my body, how I can allow myself to see the world as expansive instead of feeling like I have to run away and hide. And I was actually in bed last night and I was crying. I just got really emotional and I was just having a hard time. And I started to get this vision of someone like hunched over, almost like in a mine or something. And they're hunched over and they're trying to protect something and they see something as dangerous. But what they didn't realize, this was it. It was a metaphor for fear and the inability to look at things. And as a black sheep, you have an incredible ability to face the truth. You have an incredible, one of your main superpowers as a black sheep is to face the truth. The light just got brighter on my computer, and I don't know if it's going to come through on the video, but there's no sun outside. The light just like popped off. You have an ability to see the truth, whether you like it or not. It's a part of you. And other people, just like your family trying to sweep things under the rug all the time, other people have an inability to see the truth. There's a lot more resistance that you will find in non-black sheep of not wanting to see the truth, of being comfortable, living in denial, of just, I'm just going to act like it's not there. And so in this vision that I got, it was like a mine, and I guess like the mine, like a physical underground mine, and it was dark and there were all these tunnels, and that is what fear feels like, right? You feel stuck, you feel trapped, you don't know where to go, you're afraid to look. And what I saw is this person hunched over, and when they stood up, and they uncovered their arms from their chest, again, opening the heart space. There was a light. There was like a giant spotlight strapped to their chest. And when they stood up, and standing up is a metaphor for reclaiming your power, standing in your power, no longer hunching over and trying to make yourself small, literally, and instead standing up, finding that power, finding that will in yourself, that determination that I know you have to pick yourself up. And when they turned around, because what they were hunching over from was something behind them, they were afraid of what was behind them. They turned around, and as they stood up and turned around, that spotlight shone right on their fears. And they saw that there was nothing to fear. What they thought they needed to fear was so much bigger because they were turning away from it. It felt like it was enveloping them. But when they stood up and took that power back, they were able to see clearly. They were able to see everything clearly. And they were able to take that light that is with them, that is inherently with them, that is attached to their chest, and shine it on anything that they are afraid of. And as soon as they see it, as soon as they understand it, it becomes so small. It becomes something that they can work with, or do something around, or move through, or pick up and demolish, right? That power that you have is already inside of you. And it is about clearing the way, clearing the path to let that light shine. You are brave enough to find a way to create your purpose. And the last thing that I'm just going to leave you here with is, I know my purpose is being a self-worth coach and talking to Black Sheep and bringing spirituality into it and using my claircognizance and my visions and my clairsentience to channel messages from the divine. I know this is my purpose, but the bits and pieces of this purpose. Like when I started my healing journey, I was not spiritual. I was like a very strong atheist, and I never sought spirituality. I never looked out for it. I never tried to I never Googled how to be spiritual or how to become more spiritual. Like it was none of that. But through these experiences, spirituality found me. It found me. And through these experiences that were undeniable, and maybe over time I'll share them. When I write an autobiography, I'll definitely share them there, but maybe I'll share them online sometime before that too. But these experiences opened up my eyes to something that was undeniable. And I'm not sitting here claiming to have any answers or claiming to have all the answers, but my purpose unveiled itself to me. And what I had to do before that was to follow the intuitive steps. I didn't know where this was leading me. My healing journey started way before my business. My spirituality came into it, but I didn't think that it was going to be a part of my business. It was just something I was interested in. And over time, these little bits and pieces were handed to me like little presents that I didn't even see as a present. I didn't see the seed. I didn't see it, but it was there. And I didn't see it because hindsight is 2020. I was just following these little nudges. And so for a lot of you who are like, okay, I know I have light. I know I have power. I know I can utilize these things, but what is my purpose? I don't know. Just set the intention of aligning yourself with your purpose. Set the intention with yourself, or maybe it's your ancestors, or maybe you have a spirit family that you're connected to. Maybe you just talk to the universe. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be spiritual. If you are resistant to that, you can just set it with yourself. You can set it with your future self, right? Set the intention that you want to walk in your purpose, that you are willing to see what that is. And little bit, I don't think it quite works like you have to go out there and run it and grab it and then and it's just sitting there, right? It's a part of you. It's something that you co-create with the universe. The universe gives you little tidbits and you just keep walking, you keep following this path, and it will lead you somewhere. Which is the most non-saying ever. Of course, any path is going to lead you somewhere, but it will lead you into alignment with your purpose. I've been so resistant to the community that I live in. I've been resistant at times to even my relationship, even when it was great. I've had so many things in my life that I was resistant to, but as I kept asking for answers, I kept receiving them. And even this weekend, part of what I was really struggling with was feeling like I don't belong where I am, not being sure if I'm supposed to be here in this city or around the people that I'm around or at the job that I'm working at or how it's all going to work. It felt like it was so out of reach and so out of grasp. And in one day, I had the intuitive nudge today to go to the community garden. And so I went and I met a new person, and I found someone there who I already know. And we ended up going somewhere else to another farm. And that farm was literally in my mind like heaven on earth all year long. And even at the end of 2024, I've been seeing visions of a garden. And I don't own land. I don't know anything about gardening, but little by little, this community garden found its way into my life. And so many people involved with it are also involved in healing and wellness and this journey of sustainability and learning how to be more resourceful and being stewards of this earth and this land that was stolen, and doing the best that we can to take care of it and to learn something and to co-create with it. And I never in a million years could have gone out and just grabbed this or just known that this was going to happen. And a lot of something that's been coming up in my tarot readings for one-on-one clients and a message that I've just been getting collectively is there are so many points in your journey where you are not supposed to know what happens next. No matter how much you want to know, you are not going to know. And that's why that trust is so important. That's why that belief in your own power is so important. That's why that idea that I brought up earlier of you may not know what the reason was for something happening. Maybe everything doesn't happen for a reason, but you can make it have a reason. You can make it have a purpose. You can make all the bullshit that you went through mean something through your actions today, through what you invest your time in, through what you bring to this world. And I feel like that was the message. That was the episode. I really hope that this resonated with you, and I hope that this inspired you to dig deep and to connect with yourself and to see yourself in a different light, because the ones not chosen are the chosen ones. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Becoming Enough. Be sure to rate and leave a review of the podcast so that other Black Sheep and Cycle Breakers like you can find us too. Visit blacksheepexperience.com to learn more about how we can work together to elevate your self-worth and eradicate your worthiness wounds for good. Remember that you are worthy whether you believe it or not. I love you so much. Happy healing.